special edition. All the editions are special of Inside the Ring. This is the Canelo Crawford press conference special edition. And we just saw quite a press conference. Dana White emceeing. I mean, Dana might not be on his way to building, along with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh and Nick Khan, an NBA or an NFL for boxing, and this could kick it all off. I'm Max Kellerman. That's the great Roy Jones Jr.
Greatest.
Mike Coppinger, our boxing insider, or what do we call him, Shady? Snitch?
The snitch.
The leak?
The informant.
The informant. The informant.
Come on now.
And that is Shady McCoy. Oh, what's a football player do? Shady is a boxing fan for real. Shady is a boxing fan for real.
Shady, you hear that? He said the great Roy Jones, but it wasn't the great Shady.
Hey, look, when you want this greatnest?
Right. Shady, you were a great football player. Did your greatness on the gridiron compare to him in the ring?
When I first got over here with y'all, what I tell y'all? I said my favorite fighter of all time is Muhammad Ali and Roy Jones.
Let me explain something real quick to people, and we're about to get into Canelo and Crawford about Roy, okay? Remember when Michael Jordan was active and no one was sitting there going, hey, you think Shaq is as good as MJ? No one said that. Everyone knew MJ was here, everyone else was here, right? Then MJ retired, and then Shaq was like up here and everyone, right? Think of how dominant Floyd was. Floyd was here, and everyone else was below him, right? But Floyd and Roy were in their prime at the same time. I mean, Roy's a little older. Not a single person on earth ever asked the question, yo, you think Floyd is as good pound for pound as Roy? Roy was MJing boxing. Yeah. So let me ask you something, Roy. How's that for an intro?
That's an awesome intro.
Yeah. So what you just witnessed from Canelo and Crawford, sometimes you can see, and we saw a lot of times in fighter meetings at HBO, certain guys would come in and you could just tell who's confident, who looks like they have the look of a winner. What did you see from these guys?
What I saw tonight, honestly speaking, I wasn't going to say too much about it, but since it's my man Max, I got to tell the truth about it. When I watched that up-close interview, or interactment, Bud made sure that Canelo looked away first. Bud is for real.
He made sure Canelo broke the stare.
He made sure, and you know me, because this is what I do. You understand me? I believe in winning fights before the fight starts.
Right.
You understand me? I had to watch that to be sure. I saw who was going to take the edge. Canelo did it off like it was, and don't get it wrong now, that don't mean nothing to everybody. But to me, when I make you look away first, and somebody ain't got to force you to look away,
it doesn't necessarily mean something, but maybe it does mean. Maybe it might.
Right.
Maybe it might.
This fight is so close, they so closely knitted, that you got to look for all the small pieces, because the small things are what going to add up to somebody winning the fight.
See, to me, in your career, Roy, I don't look at anything past the Ruiz fight.
Right.
I always say once you went up to heavyweight, you put on 25 pounds of muscle. Once you take that off, it's never going to be the same. But so people understand, the night Roy Jones beat John Ruiz, he opened as a 2-1 favorite against Mike Tyson. Yep. Imagine if someone would have told you the night Michael Spinks got knocked out in one round by Tyson, hey, there's an amateur junior middleweight who's never going to come close to losing a fight, and one day is going to open as a 2-1 favorite at heavyweight against Tyson, you'd be like, well, that's the best fighter ever. And at that moment in time, it looked like that might be the best fighter I ever saw. But Roy, because of that, throughout a lot of your career, your marketability suffered because no one could put you in a fight. Right? No one really ever came close to putting you in a fight. That's kind of happened to Bud so far. Is he therefore prepared for a fight like Canelo, giving up or having to jump up 2 more weight classes and fight a guy who might put him in a dogfight, a real one, for the first time in his career?
When we get put in that position, we go find opposition to make that happen. You understand me? So when we go looking for the opposition, we're not concerned about how big they are, how fast they are, how strong they are. We feel like we got enough that we can bring to the table with anybody. That night I fought John Ruiz, I didn't care who was over there. Whoever they brought out that locker room was going to get it. You understand me? That's just what it was. And I think Bud kind of has that feeling. Now, Bud, you got to remember, has been around for a long time. Nobody called him out. You understand me? All the time Floyd came at the boxing, Floyd never said, I want Bud Crawford.
No one ever said his name.
Hey, all I know is one thing. Israel Mazrimov, he didn't get it. He barely lost.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, but nobody called his name. You understand where I'm coming from? So When you know a guy is that formidable and that people are ducking or don't want to see him, he's a problem.
Okay, so Mike Coppinger just brought up the fact, Shady, that we see images from the press conference. There's Canelo.
He's business, man.
Canelo looks like he trained for speed for me, right? That may be a good thing or maybe not. I think of Joe Louis, Billy Conn. I'm going back to 1941, but Joe Louis thought, oh, Conn's fast. I got to train down, and it almost cost him. You think it's smart to train down?
I do think it's smart, and if you remember Canelo Triple G the first fight, right? Everyone thought that Triple G deserved that decision. Guess what? In the rematch, Canelo came and slimmed down and trained for speed, and then he won that fight in the eyes of most convincingly, right?
So, Shady, Coppinger, in a kind of sneaky, underhanded way.
He always does this.
You know what he's doing. He brings up the Madrimov fight. Yeah. Were we saying Madrimov or were we saying Madrimov?
I'm saying Madrimov, but maybe I'm wrong, Max. Wouldn't be the first time.
I think Madrimov, we're going with Madrimov. When in that fight, if you go back and look, to me, yes, it was the most competitive fight of Bud's career, but he was never really in danger of losing. And when he was like, oh, I got to win some rounds, that's what he did. But to Mike's point, just because of the guy, he was a southpaw, he was tricky.
He was tricky, too.
Clearly the size also created a layer of difficulty we haven't seen in the past. Do you agree with that or no?
I agree with that.
So what about this level of size?
The thing with Bud is, man, he's up for the challenge, right? Every time people count him out, he finds ways to answer. And then, like Roy talked about, like trying to find a small advantage. These are top-level athletes, top-level fighters. I just believe that first fight with Montreal, I was at that fight, right, and I was not bored at all. I don't know what the hell Mike got going on.
I heard booing.
I didn't hear no booing. Listen, the way that
expecting a better action fight than that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because we're used to seeing Bud stop everybody.
And to Bud's credit, Bud knows it was a bad fight, and you heard him the other day say it wasn't just me that had a close fight. It was also Canelo against William Skull.
But the thing, real quick, Max, the game is to win. Yeah. Right? It might not be the way you look. The game is to win.
Roy, hold on. Let me ask someone who
win.
actually knows about this stuff, who's done it. At middleweight, it was ridiculous. These guys could not touch you.
Right.
At super middleweight, same thing, and you were stopping guys in 1 or 2 rounds. Good fighters. Like people say, oh, Roy didn't fight this guy or that guy. Meantime, those guys would go out and win belts and stuff, and you were stopping him in 2 rounds like it was nothing. Right. When you got to light heavy, you were still easily beating everybody, but those second-round knockouts stopped, right? Now they started going the distance. What was the difference in terms of the size that you experienced there?
The difference was I was coming from 185, making 175. These guys come from 200, 210, making 175. So they could absorb the punch a bit better than the guys that were closer to my size. However, Canelo is, I have never seen anybody hurt Canelo.
No, ever.
So I ain't gonna lie.
Do me a favor, remind everybody, who did you pick when Roy Jones fought John Ruiz?
I may have picked Ruiz. But by the way, let me tell you something.
You may,
real quick.
have.
Right. Oh, by the way, that's the only
Call him out.
I don't remember. I really don't remember. But I never picked against Roy until he. Oh wait, now he started at middleweight. Now he's going to fight a heavyweight. That might be too much. But obviously,
but it's not too much for Terence Crawford.
Do you know who told me, by the way, he was going to beat Ruiz? Al Cole, the Iceman, cruiserweight champ, who wound up going toe-to-toe with all the heavyweights, and no one could ever hurt him. He said, Max, I'll spar anyone, moment's notice. Right, any heavyweight. He had a great chin. He said, the only dude I need to wait, I need like a couple days to prepare is Roy.
He knew.
And I said, and what I said, Roy, was, oh, because of the speed. He said, no, because of the power.
Yep.
You think Terence Crawford could bring his power up to 68?
See, this is what bothers me. Terence has never been known as a one-punch knockout guy, but neither is Canelo. So neither one of these guys are really known. Wait a minute. Neither one of these guys are really known as knockout guys.
That's not true.
Let me tell you why. He don't know boxing like I know boxing.
I know that Canelo knocked out Kirkland and Amir Khan with one shot.
Stop. Just what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, Roy's right about
this. Let me break it up.
Kirkland and Amir Khan.
One shot, though.
But Amir Khan was chinny and would get knocked out.
At 175, 2 shots.
He was a shot Kovalev, and he went 10 rounds, and it wasn't
now
1 or 2 shots. He broke him down. Roy's talking about bop, and you're gone.
Was Kirkland one shot, bop, and gone?
No, Kirkland was a guy who came straight forward and got chopped up and knocked out.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead,
So, again, like I said, he's not been known as a one-punch knockout guy either. Now, to his credit though, against a smaller
Don't beat Mike up for us. Don't beat him up.
Against a smaller guy coming up though, that may come into play because we have never seen Bud get hit by a guy quite this big. Although he beefed up, we still haven't seen him take that. So that's going to be very questionable. Can he take that one shot? But we don't think that Bud can knock out Canelo.
I want to bring up someone else that I've worked with in the past. doing commentary, and here's one way to think about heavyweights, right? If you made an all-time bracket, tournament style, all the heavyweights who ever lived, who's the guy who would probably win that tournament? I don't talk about size for their era, anything. You just got to pluck them out of their era. Obviously, guys like Dempsey and Joe Louis can be too small, right? Who's the guy who would win the all-time heavyweight tournament, in your opinion, Roy?
In my opinion, I say Muhammad Ali.
You say Ali still. Who do you say?
I love Ali.
Ali is my guy, but
I like Jack Johnson.
you're not taking this seriously.
Yeah, amazing defensive
The
fighter.
answer is Lennox Lewis, but anyway.
Oh, he is right there.
I tried to spoon feed it to you, and you with Jack Johnson.
Yeah, I like the Galveston Giant. All right.
But he's 200 pounds.
Max, you love history. You love historical boxing. I was trying to please you.
I'm not talking about for their era. I'm talking about put him in the ring with boxing gloves. The man is 6'5", 240.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Look at those hands.
All right.
Look at that.
Roy, thank you for. Do we have an extra mic for Lennox? Can we
I
get
let him use
everyone?
mine.
So Roy and Lennox going to share that
Yeah,
mic.
we'll use it.
Yeah. Lennox, this is something you don't know about is moving
lot
up
of
and, weight
goats up here,
and
man.
fighting a bigger guy.
Okay.
But something you do know about is fighting on the biggest stage. And Canelo has been on this stage many times.
Yeah, he looks ready.
But has never really been on this stage before. Do you think that has any kind of an impact on the fight?
No, not at all. I think he's been preparing to come on this stage. Now he's made it on the stage, so he's fully prepared to be on the stage.
And do you agree with what I said about you? If there's a heavyweight tournament all time, Lennox you're too big for the old guys and you're too good for the new guys, right? You're winning that tournament, right?
I would definitely try to win that tournament, but you know.
Who's your stiffest competition?
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, okay. We all, but as Mike Tyson said, that's my all-time favorite fighter. As Mike Tyson said, all heads must bow, all tongues must confess, Muhammad Ali.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's the greatest.
All right. So in a fight like this, if the experience and the big stage doesn't have a telling effect on the fight, do you think size does?
Yes. I believe if you come up in weight and you're boxing a guy he's always at that weight and he's a hard puncher, you haven't felt his punches yet because you've never gone up against a puncher like that. Now it's for the first time you're going to step in the ring against a serious puncher. So he's got to be careful how he, boxes, especially the first couple rounds. He can't get hit because it's like that video game. You get hit, all of a sudden you get weaker.
The energy bars go down,
Yes.
Roy. Do the energy bars go down when Ruiz hits you? Do you feel it?
They didn't go down, they went up.
Well, you're Superman.
Yeah, right.
Right, that's right.
Whoa, does that dance go?
So you're talking about Crawford coming up and feeling the shots and also having his power negated in some kind of way.
Yeah.
What about the fact, I think about Holyfield. I give Holyfield so much credit. I think he's one of the greatest, most unsung pound-for-pound fighters who ever lived. And a lot of that's because not only did he fight all these giant heavyweights, but he's 208, 210 pounds. He was chasing Lennox Lewis around the ring. You won the fight,
Yeah,
but you had to move against this little guy.
I had to move, and I didn't know I was in a boxing match, and all of a sudden it turned into a soccer match. You know what I mean? So like, this guy was headbutting and
But
using
it's
his head.
still he had a kind of dog in him.
No,
where
what-
he was so tough he could chase and give up size and still compete with a bigger guy. Crawford strikes me as the same kind of competitive fighter.
Oh, yeah.
Does he strike you that way?
He does. It really comes down to footwork as well. Crawford does the right footwork and gets Canelo off balance. There could be a problem there. But Canelo's been fighting movers for his last 5 fights. So he's used to fighting movers. He's prepared for that. The only thing we have to watch out for is the exchanges. The exchanges is where it's going to be at. The danger. Who's going to take the right?
You would think that favors Canelo in a one-shot type sense.
Yes.
Roy, what do you think?
I agree with him 100% because, like you said, Canelo's been at this weight for a long time. This is nothing new to his man. This is nothing new to his body. This is nothing new to him, period. As a matter of fact, he's fought guys that are bigger than Crawford. Crawford has never been at this weight. He was a little bit hesitant with Magdramov, but now you're going to be even more hesitant when you feel Canelo hits you because Canelo's going to be a little bit different.
Shady.
Hey,
shady.
Lennox, I want to ask you a question, though,
Yes.
because as a fan, I've been a fan of boxing for years. I remember watching you beat up my guy, Mike Tyson. It still hurt me to this day. But real quick, now, I just want to know this, like, Crawford, obviously is fighting a bigger guy with Canelo.
Yeah.
And you talked about he has to move and he can't get hit because if he gets hit, that power slowly goes down.
Right.
How do you see this fight happening? Because as fans, you see all these greats like yourself. Some got Canelo, some got Crawford. How do you see this fight playing out?
It's really who's got the better plan, right?
Okay.
You know, if Crawford goes out in there and keeps Canelo at distance and moves well,
Yeah.
and, you know, gives some great combinations and not get hit, he's going to win the fight. But if Canelo goes in there and, you know, chases him down, hits him to the body and keeps hitting him to the body, and even when it comes to the exchanges, wins, he will win.
All right.
So,
But how do you see this fight, though? How do you?
well, I think Bud should really keep distance.
Okay.
If he keeps the distance and Canelo can't catch up with him, then Bud will win.
All right, Mike, just keep in mind you annoyed Roy the last
I
time you
apologize,
spoke.
Roy.
So we got
That
Shady
good.
in between you.
yeah. It's my man, so you're
What
safe.
you've been champing at the bit to
Look,
get in
I
here.
just want to say, and I'm glad Lennox touched on it, I think we're greatly underestimating Canelo Alvarez's power at this point.
Yeah.
This guy won his first title at 54, and he went up to 175. Was Kovalev past it, as you said, Max? Yes. He knocked him cold. He was sleeping at 175. He broke Billy Joe Saunders' face. 4 of his last 5 opponents, he dropped them all, and what did he do after they dropped him? They went into a shell. They started running around the ring, moving, surviving.
Here's the issue, and I think you do strike on something important to me. You know, fighters who don't have good chins, they're fighters who get hit on the chins. Whoever get hit on the chin doesn't have a good chin. That's not where you take a shot. So Crawford's not going to get hit on the button. Neither is Canelo. They tuck well. That's why you're definitely not going to hit with 2 shots there. I think early in the fight we will see if Canelo is too big for Crawford. Within the first 30 seconds or minute, we're going to see if Canelo's able to move him and shake him up with shots that don't land flush. He doesn't have to hit him on the chin. He doesn't have to catch him just right, and it's still affecting Crawford. That's very good for Canelo. My point is, if that's not the case, if we look and go, oh, he's not too big for Crawford.
Right.
Woo, Canelo's in for a long night because
Well,
that kid can box.
Right.
Other thing I want to say, though, right, Max, on Wednesday's show, you touched on it. He's taking it serious, right? He took John Boots Ennis in camp.
Yep.
Look at the way Canelo is significantly more cut up right now than he was for William Skull.
I think they're both very up for each other, Lennox.
I agree totally with that. You know, if you're bringing in a good guy and sparring a good guy, that gives you so much to go into the ring with because you're prepared, because you've just come from boxing, you know, one of the best guys to boxing the next unbelievable guy, and you're ready because you've got that energy from good sparring. Good sparring is very important. For me, for my training, where most of my money went was sparring. Paying guys to come in to get me prepared to fight.
Now, Canelo. The last time Canelo looked sharp to me, about maybe the Caleb Plant fight.
Plant fight,
Okay.
yeah, that's
so,
a good Canelo.
So for boxers though, can you just turn it off and on so I can look okay for 4 fights, and then now I got Bud Crawford, I just turn it on?
Yes, no, it's easily turned on because you're up against a terrific fighter. So in order for you to beat that terrific fighter, you got to turn it on. You got to be more terrific.
So like Lennox said, to me, like before I found out about the Jerron Ennis situation, I was kind of 100% more on the Bud side. When I found out that he bought Boots Ennis in the train, it made me understand that now Canelo is taking this serious.
Serious,
You understand me?
real serious.
Second thing is, just like you in football, when you play against a team that's supposed to beat you,
Right.
that's going to be your best game, right? Well, in boxing, when we fight somebody that's supposed to be a threat, now we got something to get up out of bed for.
Guys, we spoke
That's a great
moving up in
breakdown.
weight.
Yeah.
We spoke about moving up in weight, and when you think about the guys who moved to heavy from cruiser, the 2 greatest cruiserweight champions in history are obviously Holyfield and now Usyk, and then there's a line after them. But the guy who is clearly ahead of everyone else other than Holyfield and Usyk in the history of that division is Jai Apatayo, who's here. Where are you, Jai? Come on up. This guy is the undefeated, very well tested and
He's a bad
proven.
man.
I don't follow sanctioning bodies. Is he undisputed?
He's the Ring Magazine
Right, Ring
champion.
Magazine. That's
Magazine,
a. Forget about undisputed.
Yep. You can share with me. You share with me.
How you doing, brother? That's Roy Jones. Lennox Lewis.
You know it.
Look at this.
And,
Crazy.
hey, let me see. Let me see if you have the size for heavyweight. I don't know. You
About
thinking
me.
about it?
You worry about yourself.
You thinking about it? You thinking about it? Jai, you thinking about it? You thinking about the heavies?
Yeah. Man, you know, we want to become undisputed first, obviously, and then once we tick that box, we want to go up to heavyweight.
Can I tell you, we were just talking about it on your way up. You're already undisputed. Like, the sanctioning bodies don't matter. What matters is, and I'm not saying this because I'm on Ring Magazine. I have not mentioned them on air, sanctioning bodies, in 25 years. Because if you got the Ring Magazine belt, it means you're the guy in that division, and you have it. So in my eyes, you've already done that. Maybe not in your eyes. In my eyes, I think you're already undisputed. You don't feel that way, though, huh?
I do feel it. You know, I believe it. I believe I'm the best, and I believe anyone in the cruiserweight division that thinks they're better, they're not the best until they beat me.
Ooh.
You know, so that's what it is. But
what have you seen from these?
Collecting these belts,
Yeah.
it's an accomplishment. It's an achievement. You know, boxers, I've been fighting my whole life. You know, like standing next to these two gentlemen, this is crazy for me. You know, to come from my neck of the woods and to be here is man, I'm honored. You know, to stand amongst these men. But
you fought your way there. I mean, as I just said, there's Holyfield and Usyk, and now there's you. You're the next dominant cruiserweight, right? So it feels good to have earned your place, to be able to stand in between these two guys?
That's the feeling. You know, it's not, this stuff doesn't happen on accident. I've earned my spot here.
Of course.
You know, I belong here. You know, I'm comfortable here. But I want this undisputed belt. I want the rest of the belts. I want to tie them around my waist, and I want to give them to my grandparents.
Oof, oof.
We determined.
You hit me in the feels with that one. Listen, when you see Canelo and Crawford today and the way they looked and the way they were talking, is there anything you take away from the way they were looking and behaving?
Yeah, there was a few things. You know, I did notice Canelo, all these belts stacked up, whole team with him, singlet, glasses. See Crawford, 4 bottles of water in his team. You know, he's...
That's interesting.
It is.
Yeah,
you got the eye of the tiger, the little Clubber Lang thing going on.
Hey,
Rocky Balboa.
Why are we here? You know, what are we doing? You know, we're fighters, we're boxers. You know, who wants to be the best? We fighting for an image, or we fighting to be the best?
There it is.
Jai, you're making some fans right now, boy.
It is what it is.
How do you have this fight going?
I got Crawford. You know, I've literally put money on Crawford.
Okay.
So I got it.
You're in Las Vegas. We're here.
Hey.
It's legal. It's legal.
But, yeah, you know, I'm back on Crawford. And that's not to say I got a lot of respect for Canelo. You know, he's built his way here. But like I said, man, the Canelo I seen back in the day to now, sitting there in the singlet with his sonnies, it seems a bit different. You know, the energy seems a bit different.
Lennox, the way he's talking, I could see you reacting to what Jai is saying. What are you thinking when he's talking that?
Yeah, I mean, what he's seeing, he's thinking that, you know, the cat has got too fat, so the hunger's not there anymore. But he sees a guy that's, you know, making less and that's hungry. So that's how I read it.
Interesting. Right? What, are you starting to change your mind?
No.
Are we getting to you? Are we
I
getting to you?
think Terence Crawford's going to be very confident. He should feel confident. He's an amazing fighter. He's an all-time great. But I want to see how confident he is, Max, after he takes that first big left hand to the face, those body shots.
See, that it's not the head shot. He'll
Those
be
body shots are going to be
Here's the thing. If Canelo is just so big and strong that Crawford can't take it in the body, Crawford's not going to be able to win the fight.
Right.
But if that's not the case, now imagine how does Canelo win the fight? The way his legs, and you've brought this up, the main difference with Canelo in recent years is his legs don't look the same, right? How does he win the fight if we find out after a minute or two he's not too big for Crawford? What are his paths to victory versus the multiple ways Crawford can win?
Yeah, look, obviously Canelo is not going to outbox Terence Crawford. But I think if Canelo is not hurting him to the body and he's not really making him feel his power, I think Canelo can apply that pressure, push him to the ropes, and fight an ugly fight and an aggressive fight and win on the cards.
Interesting. You know what I don't hear anyone talking about? Which is probably, to me, like the best prop bet. No one's thinking about Crawford by stoppage, right? TKO. No. But Canelo's cut 3 times in his career. Crawford fights out of the southpaw stance a lot. Even if you get a little accidental headbutt, a little nick, something, but Crawford's up on the cards after a certain number of rounds, then he's a sharpshooter. Now he's going to target that cut, move toward the cut, and target it. And remember, either side of the head, he can fight orthodox or southpaw, Roy. He can move into the cut and target it, and maybe if Canelo's down on points, that might be a way out for a rematch without him just losing a fight. Not that I think this scenario is likely, but it's probably not as unlikely as the odds have it, right? Like, what's the odds on Crawford winning by knockout?
That's a big one. And the reason being is because, like I said, I've never seen Canelo hurt. So not seeing him hurt and not say that Crawford has never been known as a one-punch guy either. You understand me? So that's why it's very unlikely that we will see a Crawford win by knockout unless something like that happens.
Cuts,
But that happens. That could happen.
Right. Would you say he's a sharp puncher?
Yeah, he's a very sharp puncher.
So
Very sharp puncher.
Maybe a cut then.
No, I understand what I said. Because of the cut.
All I know is this.
Especially Southpaw Orthodox.
Exactly.
The nastiest cut I've ever seen still is when you, Lennox Lewis, did it to Vitaly Klitschko. You were down on the cards, and you didn't get enough credit for that because people were like, oh, well, he was cut. No, you caused that cut.
Yes.
With sharp punching.
Yes. You know, my coach said you got to be good as a long-range fighter. You got to be good as a short-range fighter, and you better not get cut. So
we going with a cut.
yeah,
Cut.
You can't be a bleeder.
As a fan, I'll just say this, man. Being in this stadium, it's like the 90s with the Cowboys versus the Niners. It's crazy in here. It's Mexican fans everywhere. It's black fans. If they stop this thing by a cut, they're going to storm the ring. They're going to storm the ring.
I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying, what are the odds on a stoppage, right? Probably pretty long.
Speaking of prop bets, Max, my favorite prop bet, not that I'm picking it, but for the value, is Terence Crawford to get knocked down and win at plus 1,800.
Also
$100
interesting.
Wow.
to win $1,800.
Yeah.
That's very
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because he could even buy even if he feels it in the body late in the fight, but he's up on the cards, right? You take a knee, you let it.
And like we said, Canelo's dropped 4 of his last 5 opponents. He didn't drop William Skull, who was running around the ring, but he dropped Berlanga, Munguia,
But think about who
Charlo,
you're saying.
and Ryder.
Just think about those names: Berlanga and Munguia.
Yeah, you know what?
Fighting Terence Crawford, man,
Berlanga
it's
is
a
a B.
different animal.
I agree with that, but Berlanga is what, 200 pounds? Skull
That's
was
a
like
good point.
200 pounds. These are
So
big boys.
why y'all just do what I'm doing? I'm doing the distance, right? I think it's at minus 300. That's cool. Lay some money down. Because like you talked about, he knocked them guys down, but he didn't finish them.
You like laying the
And
juice.
he's not going to finish
Hey,
Crawford.
I want to say goodbye to our guests. It's an honor to have.
They
this
got to
much-
leave. Do they have to leave,
This much
Max?
greatness. No, I mean I'd like to keep them. This much greatness on the stage, and you, my friend, might be on your way, boy. You got quite a resume so far.
Not a question.
Future.
Without a
The
question.
future.
All right, Lennox and Jai and
Bless, thank
Roy,
you.
Thank
let's
you.
get your predictions before we say goodbye. Lennox, who wins this fight?
Let me get my notes ready.
If it goes distance, Canelo. I mean,
Crawford. If it goes distance,
yeah,
Crawford.
Crawford. And
right.
if it's a short fight, it's Canelo.
Jai?
Yeah, I agree. I'm backing Crawford on distance.
Roy?
I want this to.
I'm thinking if we go to distance, we probably won't get a draw.
Well, I mean, first of all, Canelo's career has shown you got to do about 8 rounds to get a draw.
How much is a
You
draw
know,
paying?
I don't.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank
Thank you
y'all.
for having
Good to
us.
see you again, brother.
Great to
Thank
see
y'all.
you. Great to see you
Always
guys.
good to see you, brother.
Hey, look, we the media, dog. We love you, bro. He got that
it,
face. I want to. Don't beat us up, baby. We for you now.
And guys, we're still going. Jai, good to meet you.
Yeah.
Lennox, always great to see you, my brother.
Roy, I'm gonna get with you, Roy. Make you up for sure.
This is, boy, I mean, it's crazy. That's,
Yo,
right? It's crazy. Right?
Them
When you're that
3
kind
will whoop us. So listen.
Them one.
So listen.
Them one
so
would
Mike,
whoop us.
Take
Guys,
it easy, Mike.
Here's Crawford. You know, it's funny because his first exposure to the public on a really big stage was the Bradis Prescott fight. And Bradis Prescott was such a puncher that Crawford fought a perfect fight and a perfect defensive fight, and people thought of him kind of like a boxer. And then as time went on, we saw, oh, wait a minute. He's actually one of the best finishers in the game, maybe the best finisher in the game. And now at this point in his career, he's like a longer-armed Marvin Hagler. He can fight southpaw, he can fight orthodox, he gets you upstairs, downstairs, forwards, backwards, just completely versatile and completely dominant so far. He's never really been in a close fight.
Right.
Yes, he has. It was the last fight against Israel Madrimov.
It
I
was.
was there. I
It was
watched it.
competitive.
It was
It
a
wasn't.
7. It was competitive.
7-5 if you're being
I thought he
generous
won
to
that fight. I was
Madrimov.
there too,
He
Mike.
won
Yeah,
the fight.
yeah. If you're being
He won
generous
the
to
fight.
Madrimov, 7-5. There was never any
All
real
right,
drama. He
8-4.
was,
Right.
yeah, 8-4,
That's close.
7-5. 8-4 is
8-4 is close?
Close enough.
Well,
I guess for Buzz. Is it close
I mean,
for Buzz?
if you're saying that the dude's, I think I'll put it this way: the closest fight Crawford has ever had is an 8-4-ish, 7-5-ish
Right.
fight against an undefeated southpaw.
Very good fighter. No question.
And your first time in that weight class?
And the first time in the weight class. But to
Matters.
Mike's point, that was his first time in a weight class 1 division
Yeah,
above.
right.
Now he's jumping 2 more divisions
Yeah.
to fight a much, not as tricky a fighter, but a much better fighter than Madrimov.
Stronger. Yeah.
Max, you've been the best at debating for a long time.
Yes.
You know how this goes.
Yes.
Sometimes, we got to give Max his credit. Sometimes we get to the point where we overrate somebody and then they become underrated. And that is happening with Canelo Alvarez right now. We are underrating Canelo.
You know what I feel like
Being
talking to him?
slept on.
You know what I feel like talking to him? Sometimes, like, you ever see Tiger toward the end, right? Toward later in his career, he started playing against guys who watched him growing up.
Right.
So actually, fathers used to put golf clubs in athletic sons' hands. So for the first time, athletes were playing golf. So it got much harder for him to. So this kid grew up watching me talk all my stuff.
That's right.
And he takes all my techniques and he used them against me.
Okay, all right, okay.
Right? Am I
That's
wrong?
right. Yeah, of course I grew up watching Max.
For him.
I got to stay on my toes. What do you think,
But
Shady?
real quick, you're not giving Crawford enough credit. And I think everything you keep talking about is Canelo, Canelo, Canelo. Canelo hasn't looked so great the last 4 or 5 fights either.
Again, I think the reason we're saying that is because Canelo Alvarez is the face of boxing. There's no question about that. And he's held to a different standard. He broke John Ryder's nose and gave him a bloody beating.
John Ryder.
I'm about to say
I'm
John
not
Ryder,
saying
right?
John Ryder is.
No, but what my point is that
not Crawford.
he has not, since the Plant fight, where he looked great, because Plant fought a good fight. Right. Plant is a very good fighter, but he's not a great fighter because he's mastered 2 distances. Long range, mid range, he has no inside game.
Correct.
That's the difference between a good fighter and a very good fighter. Plant's very good, but he's not great.
Right.
That's the best fighter he's fought in a long time. He has not fought any real opposition since then.
That's my issue.
Saying that about Jamel Charlo going into that fight. They said it after the fight.
That is true. I give him a lot
Look at this
of
stare,
credit.
Max, real quick, Max. Look at this stare down. You think he gonna be running around this? Look at Bud Crawford. Look, he ain't scared. Look at Bud.
There's a reason Bud's made it to this point. There's a reason
now,
why
listen,
a guy who's that much smaller, we're giving a chance. And we're talking about this fight.
Can I say one thing? Last thing is I'm gonna be respectful here. For him to come up 3 weight classes, you look at the odds. It's 50-50 fight. And the bookies in Vegas, they know so. Now, I never boxed before, but I love boxing. I've been watching my whole life. And all I'm saying is for 3 weight class, you coming up, and if you look at the odds and the spread, it's neck and neck for the big, tough Canelo. Okay,
You
Mike.
know why? I think
All
a
right.
lot of that is it's hard to imagine Bud Crawford losing a fight because we've never seen it. And the reason this fight captures that, I give Turki Al-Sheikh a lot of credit for imagining this, right? Because it takes a big imagination. The way Larry Merchant deserved credit for proposing Pacquiao and De La Hoya, where at the time I was like, come on, man, De La Hoya is way too big. It did not turn out that way. I think partly that fight is in people's minds, but partly this captures the imagination of the public because Canelo has not looked the same in the last 2 or so years, and Crawford has been so dominant. It's like just even the spectacle of watching him lose is titillating because it's hard to imagine.
It's an imperfect comparison, Max, Pacquiao and De La Hoya, because De La Hoya was fighting at 54. He even fought at 160, and then he came down to 47. He looked emaciated in that fight.
He did.
And again, I just want to say, another great Mexican, Eric Morales. I thought he was going to get slaughtered by Marcos Maidana. I wrote him off. That was a hell of a fight.
I called that fight, and I thought it was a pay-per-view that no one bought, and it was supposed to be an execution of Eric Morales, and Morales lost, but it was a great fight.
He was a dog. And Morales was a dog.
And that's what Shady just said.
Dog.
Right. Morales was a dog. Morales, no matter what you say, my late great brother's favorite fighter, Eric Morales, because no matter what you want to say about Morales, if you hit him once, he was going to get 2 off against you.
He was.
And that's why you could never count a guy like that out. And I think Terence Crawford is exactly that competitive, defectively competitive.
You know who else is defectively competitive? Canelo Alvarez. There's a reason why he's the face of boxing. There's a reason why he won his first title at 54 and then is knocking out who many think is a future Hall of Famer in Kovalev out cold, even if he was past it.
You have to just name you got to name a fighter who's really on the top of his game that Canelo has fought in the last 3 years. I'm not impressed by it. Is impressive that he stopped.
Who has Terence Crawford fought in the past 3 years? Was at the top of his game.
Well, Madrimov, who you just gave credit for fighting well, is an undefeated southpaw at the time.
He's good, too.
Errol Spence was still not losing to anyone when he fought him.
He whooped on him.
No.
And nobody expected that.
Errol Spence was a better fighter when Crawford fought him than Kovalev was when Canelo fought him.
Maybe so.
But I do agree, he deserves a lot of credit for knocking Kovalev out.
Right.
I'm just not so impressed by, oh my God, the way he did it.
Have we ever seen any quit in Canelo, though, to say, he don't quit. Have we ever seen him rock?
No, I don't think anyone says he's going to quit.
I think he's one of the toughest guys out there, too.
Yeah, but that's not the issue. Is not whether or not no one would even think Canelo would quit.
He ain't quitting.
The issue is Canelo so big that he can do to Crawford what he did to Jermell Charlo. And in other words, convince him early, you're just too small to beat me. You might as well try to survive, right? That is not
That's not Bud
Crawford.
That's not Bud Crawford.
You know who else doesn't think it's Crawford? Canelo, because when I asked him, he said no. Crawford has too much pride.
You know what I think?
Oh, he told you that?
Yeah.
I think Canelo Alvarez might win this fight not because he's too big, Max, but because he's better.
Can I ask you this on mic real quick? Now, he starts off slow normally, Canelo. Can he afford to do this against Crawford?
I think he can, yes. And I do think Crawford's going to be up on the cards going into the second half of the fight. We've seen Canelo many, many times come from behind and win the fight.
Wait a minute, Mike.
He was down on the cards against Kovalev.
Second half of the fight.
Down on the cards against Amir Khan.
Mike, you're talking about a shot fighter and a chinny fighter who is also smaller. Canelo has a history of fading late in fights.
Yes, he does.
And Crawford has a history of getting better in the second half of fights. I would say to you, Shady, what do you think?
That's why
I would say the opposite. If Crawford's up 4 rounds to 2 after 6, that's a problem for Canelo.
Because lately Canelo starts slow, but in the second half of fights, he's not the same. That's why I asked you that same question. Look, if you're going to beat Crawford, you can't start off slow. Can't do that.
Canelo's going to be ratcheting up the pressure. He's going to be throwing those body shots, and I think he can break him down with those body shots and that pressure.
Do you think Crawford will also be throwing body shots?
I just don't think they're going to have the same effect.
I mean, I'll tell you this. The one thing about the Triple G fights that disappointed me was Abel Sanchez talked a lot about Mexican style with Triple G, but you have to give Canelo credit. At that point in his career especially, he was such an excellent counterpuncher that Triple G didn't want to lower his fists to his body because it leaves him vulnerable to counters upstairs. Can Canelo do that to Crawford? And I don't think he can take the fight out of Crawford, but can he make Crawford hesitant to go to the body in the second half of the fight, right? That would be a big advantage. All right, guys, check this out. We're revealing the official artwork for Canelo Crawford. By the way, boxing artwork is like a real thing. These are like real collector's items. Leroy Neiman used to do these things, incredibly valuable, right? This is painted by Richard Sloan, who's been doing covers for Ring Magazine for 3 decades, and that is a beauty. That's beautiful.
Max, they lied to you. I did this. I did this. They lied to you, brother.
That's
badass.
Awesome.
That's nice.
Yeah, you have Crawford going to the body in the fight.
Right, but where's Canelo? Throwing that hook upstairs. We'll see if he does want to go to the body.
This is pathetic.
We're
going to find out.
See. This is going to be the most watched fight, as I've mentioned, in almost 50 years.
I'm getting goosebumps already. I cannot
Crawford
wait.
has never been on a stage like this, but the truth is, neither has Canelo. This is the biggest fight of Canelo's career, too. Cannot
It was
wait
crazy in here
for Saturday night, but actually before Saturday night, we're going to see you tomorrow night.
That's right. That's right.
Right here for Max Kellerman, Mike Coppinger, Shady McCoy, inside the ring. See you tomorrow.
You almost got beat up over here, Mike.